Hi, good morning, everyone. A warm welcome to our Reimagine Education webinar series. The first one with Learning Spiral on the future of online admission and assessment. We have a few housekeeping rules. I would request you to post your questions for our session today to our moderator and panelist. You can actually type in your questions and share it with us, and we will try to answer them. I would like to introduce our moderator for session today, which is Mr. Sachin Punyani, who is the lead business development, AI, ML, and IoT for WWPS, AWS India AISPL. Over to you, Sachin.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And welcome you all to the Reimagining the Future of the Online Admission and Assessment webinar. We today have a very renowned guest with us. I'll just introduce them. We have with us Mr. Dr. Saikat Maitra, who is right now the Vice Chancellor of Maulana Abul Kalam Azad University of Technology, widely known as Makaut in West Bengal. He is also the Executive Council member of Indian Society for Technical Education. He did his BSc honors in chemistry from Presidency College, Kolkata. He has BTech, MTech, and PhD from chemical technology from University of Calcutta. And he has wide experience in industries and has more than 200 research papers published in various national and international journals. He also has presented in more than 60 conferences. He has 2 patents and has authored 3 books. Welcome, Dr. Maitra, with us today. I'll introduce our second guest today, Dr. Subhashish Datta, who is right now the controller of examinations at Makaut. He's the guy who turned around the examination system of the university from conventional practices to the digital platform in just less than 1 year by choosing the right approaches and looking at the modern technologies and strategies. He also looks after the academic matters of the university as coordinator. Dr. Datta has mechanical engineering from NIT Hamirpur. He also has PhD degree from Jadavpur University. He carries more than 18 years of experience and of teaching experience, and post that he started the academic administrator journey, and he has also served as the member secretary of the State Council at West Bengal. Welcome, Dr. Datta. Our third guest is Mr. Manish Mohta, who is the alumni from Indian School of Business, Hyderabad, and he has done his engineering from the Delhi College of Engineering. He was featured amongst the India's youngest entrepreneurs by Business World and has more than 20 years of rich experience in admission and examination solutions. He is the founder of Learning Spiral, a very successful edtech focused on Indian higher education sector. Learning Spiral today powers the student and examination life cycle at more than 30% of all central universities and ensures more than 10 million students get the marks truly they deserve. Through Learning Spiral, Manish actually is on a mission to increase the available learning hours for Indian youth by as much as 40%. And he believes this is the only way to reduce the student stress and grievance is to make admission and assessment process both transparent and more efficient. Welcome, Manish, on the board. So we will start with our small discussion on reimagining the education. We see that Makaut has already been at the forefront. So my question to you, Dr. Maitra. So we see today that almost all the universities across the world are trying to do some kind of digital transformation to admission to education process. But Makaut has always been at the forefront. So what are your key aspects and facets that you have focused on to bring Makaut to such a successful level?
We always basically keep a look on the latest development in the technological front as far as education is concerned worldwide. And whatever the best practices followed by other institutes, we try to follow that, emulate that, all those things. And sometimes we try to innovate also, because you see in this time, particularly in this decade, I would like to reinvent ourselves, and at the same time, the world is changing. The world is undergoing massive transformations in all aspects. Because of this penetrations of technology in different fields. So being a technological university, it is our role and responsibility to use this technology to the best possible extent for the benefit of our learning community, and at the same time use our innovative faculties to apply their ideas and their particular skills in making these systems further customized for our cases. So with keeping all these things in our mandate or agenda, we are regularly trying to do something new, something innovative, and something which are already there. Only we are just following. By this way, we are moving ahead.
Thanks for the inputs, Dr. Maitra. My next question to Dr. Datta, like we see actually from the surveys that 50% of the administrative time goes actually in the management of the admission cycle and the assessment cycle. And we see that in last 1 year, you have completely changed Macaut's admission process. You have evolved further. So what is your opinion there? What exactly has Macaut done on those forefronts to achieve such success in the exams?
Thank you, Sachin, and thank you, AWS, for giving us opportunity to showcase our activities in this platform. You tell about 50% of the time, but it's not 50%. Why not? It's 100% student-centric. We at university, we do everything for the interest of the students. So if we can devote our 100% time for their benefit, that would be the excellent thing to do. And in fact, to describe the things we are doing for last 1 year regarding the reformation in terms of assessment, I must start go back little regarding that what are the earlier practices. In fact, earlier practices, like all other universities of the country, in a pen and paper mode, then the scripts are collected, then they were dispatched to the faculties, and then they are evaluated, then those scripts comes to the university and process. It took a lot of time. But even before pandemic, we went for digital assessment for 6.5 lakhs of scripts. So we used central monitoring system through CCTV camera in our all 200 colleges. All those things happened before pandemic. So we are ready for adopting technology, whichever are available, for ensuring quality of the education at our university. Now, once the pandemic is declared in March 2020, with the support and initiative of our Honorable Vice Chancellor, in fact, he individually took 200 colleges, maybe at a time 6, 8 to 10 colleges together, described how they can handle the situation and continue the teaching learning processes. In fact, all were taught which platform could be used for the delivery of the teaching material, taking classes. So those were explained. And we parallelly in our examination portal developed some kind of mechanism so that all the classes taken by the teacher initially could be collected in a database. And we also collected responses from the students that whether they are truly those classes are happening, and feedback of the students. In fact, we are amazed that in around 40 days, in fact, first 40 days till the examination comes in that even semester, 1.75 lakhs of classes were uploaded by the faculties, and those classes were attended by 60 lakh students. So that gave us enough confidence to go for this, take the support of the technology during the pandemic days. Not only in terms of theory classes, so we have introduced, we have prepared list and published those in order to give support in terms of laboratory classes. And most of the laboratory classes was converted to virtual laboratory from taking support of the different platform. Whatever those things are not available, we have given some kind of alternative we proposed so that the teaching learning process do not come to a halt due to the pandemic. And I must tell that regarding very quickly the process we follow throughout the semester for the students. In fact, the entire process is online. We at the beginning of the semester we enroll the students. So during enrollment, all the courses which would be taught in that semester, whether theory, practical, sessional, audit courses or MOOCs courses are could be seen at students' end. Then we tag individual faculties to each of the courses for each of the 200 affiliated college for 1.5 lakhs of students. There are around more than 10,000 faculties who are tagged to teach them. Then for the semester, we give stress on continuous assessment a lot, and at the every month end, for 4 continuous assessment for theory subjects and 2 continuous assessment for practical subjects are collected throughout the semester. Not only we give stress to the subjects which are in the curriculum, we also have introduced concept of MAR, mandatory additional requirement, which are co-curricular and extracurricular activities which student must take on. There are activities, and against each of the activities some points are allotted, and students need to at least a minimum number of points, like 25 points in academic year, and for a 4-year degree they need to achieve at least 100 MAR points in order to get their degrees. All those activities and their achievements were recorded in our portal system. I must give 1 or 2 examples that if a student goes for a 8 weeks MOOCs course, he gets say 6 MAR points. If a student plants a tree, gets 1 point. Like that, there are 25 different activities, and our honorable vice chancellor also introduced during the pandemic time some activities which can be done from the home itself, like using mobile phone, developing some videos, small video films, then photography, and so many things, cooking, the reorienting of furniture, supporting society. So many activities we have introduced, and that is one of the very successful venture we did during the pandemic as well. Then we encourage students not only take courses from the curriculum, but also some courses from the MOOCs, different MOOCs platforms. And we give honors degree if they achieve some specific credit points at the end of the course, say 20 credit points for 4-year courses and 16 credit points for the 3-year courses. And those MOOC certificates are uploaded and monitored and maintained at our examination portal itself. We had also a system of mentoring the students, and each student is tagged with some faculty who are known as mentor. For the mentoring purpose, we recently have launched a separate new portal where the activities of the students, their health data, everything would be quarterly uploaded by the mentors. Those data would be analyzed for giving support to the students, whether they are progressing, if there is any wrong in their physical data and anything. So that is also one of the big things we are doing. So at the end of the semester, the process of application for the examination and payment process and giving the admit card is also go through the online process. But the most important thing is question paper setting. The question paper setting, in fact, during the pandemic, we are probably the only university who conducted examination in exactly online mode, in MCQ mode, of course. And those MCQ questions were collected online. There are different types of questions from 1 marks and 2 marks. The questions were graded in different difficulty level, easy, moderate, and hard. Then the coverage of the entire syllabus. The syllabus were first uploaded to the question preparation portal, and from each of the chapters, some minimum number of questions must come. So we ensured the coverage of the entire syllabus for the interest of the learning of the students. And therefore, the faculties are given online access, and they can upload the questions. And most of the times, instead of question, we collect question banks, so that in a jumbled way, the computer can generate the question, and multiple examinations could be taken up from a single question bank. Not only preparing the questions, we also made provision, we developed provision for moderation of the question papers online. So we deal around 1800 to 2000 questions in a semester. So entire thing was done remotely. The faculties did everything from their home. The moderators moderate the question papers from their home. We have also our internal mechanism to finally check some few technical issues of the questions before they are used for the examination purpose. Examinations were conducted online. Students appeared from their home in a proctored environment. We are happy to see that we have heard regarding whether all students can get the opportunity to appear in the examination properly or not. But amazing, 99.8% attendance we have achieved for 6 lakhs of examinations, which probably we could not achieve even in the physical examinations. So the students were completed examinations and through online mode. There is no problem regarding the AI proctored method used, and also some manual invigilation part were also there through the digital platform only. So once the examination is completed, within 10 days, we publish the result for the 6 lakhs examination for 1.3 lakh students. The 6 lakhs is theory subjects only. Apart from that, there were practical and sessional subjects always. And all these records were kept online, and these data is very much transparent. All respective stakeholders, students can see their entire data throughout the semester, even the old data, old examination records, mark sheets, everything. The respective faculties can log into the portal and they can see their own data, which marks they have submitted, and the college principals and officer in charges can see the entire data for the college, so that no confusion doesn't arise at any point of time. Of course, the portal and cloud space is playing a very vital role in these cases. And the maintaining of records, all old records are also maintained online, so that even after passing out the students, up to some extent, they can get the access of these online mark sheets and certificates in their area. So that is how we are rolling out and doing. Thank you.
Great, very granularly thought out and meticulously implemented, Dr. No doubt, Makaut is actually at the forefront. Manish, what Dr. Datta just shared, like they have almost digitized the entire life cycle of the student in the exam, and he also talked about the online examination proctored way. So, just a question from here to you: do you think this AI proctoring plays a limited role, or the online examination that we're talking is playing a limited role during the COVID time, or will it go beyond the current times as well? Plus, because you are into the entire solution space where entire student life cycle and examination life cycle is managed, so are the solutions, approaches, or the technologies available to handle this kind of problem at scale?
So Sachin, I feel that computer-based assessments would gradually be the norm rather than the exception moving forward. Already in our country, and forget these 2 COVID years, past 5 years, every university of repute, their admission exams have moved away from physical OMR sheets to computer-based tests. And so from computer-based tests taken in centers to computer-based tests taken at homes, I think that's a progression. That's a natural progression of sorts. And of course, the rapid development in AI and its use in proctoring has aided that. Now, if you look at the last 2 years, it has provided the right impetus for companies like ours to invest time and energy to totally, rethink and reimagine how online examinations can take place. So issues of connectivity, infrastructure, scalability, all of them been attacked, addressed, and have been worked upon. And that has totally changed the way, assessments are looked upon. So for example, as Makaut was sharing, we had an amazing attendance number, which was possible only because, and remember that Makaut is a technical university where students are from all corners of the state. And there are pockets in the state where connectivity is not all that great. Even when we did a recent scholarship exam wherein, smaller kids, students from class 8 and 9, they were logging in from different districts of the state, and they were able to do that reliably from smartphone devices with varying degrees of fluctuating bandwidths, all in a proctored environment. So this is something which has been made possible with the efforts, and that is where we are seeing the inroads and the gradual progression of online assessments taken from home. Of course, the cloud infrastructure has played a role also. AWS with its robust cloud infrastructure, scalable AI algorithms which can be deployed, all of that has made this a reality today. Because remember, examinations are real-time events. Even 10-second fluctuation in the performance of the cloud infrastructure plays a critical role on the marks which a student might get. So we need high availability, we need disaster management, we need all of that, which has happened in our country over the last 4-5 years. And new use cases have been thought through. So earlier when we talked about computer based tests or online exams, it was synonymous with MCQs, or maybe fill in the blanks or things of that kind. But in the last 2 years, you have seen that proctored exams are also being done for subjective questions. How is that? For example, a very recent, we conducted the backlog exams at Macaut University. These papers were subjective papers. The answers were subjective. So students entered into the online examination. They were able to see the questions online in a proctored setting, and they were to see the questions and write the answers on A4 sheets, and then scan the QR code on the screen and upload these answer sheets onto the examination engine. And then these scanned images were later displayed to teachers who graded them while viewing them on their screens, on their desktops. So the whole process suddenly became digital, from the setting up of question papers to the actual examination which the students gave from home in a proctored way, and then finally the entire grading and then the scores. So the whole process has become a digital workflow. And what this has really enabled is that universities for the first time have felt the speed and the ease of conducting assessments of all kinds with reasonable fairness and with utmost reliability. And that is the key, I think, why all of these developments are for good. They are not for just the COVID period. Because imagine if in our academic calendar we can crash the examination taking time for in a semester by even 2 months. You are going to add 4 months to the academic calendar. Because remember, in our academic calendar, when examinations are getting conducted, there is no teaching happening parallel. Colleges are all involved in the examinations, teachers are involved in the grading. And so if we can crash this examination period with this digital workflow, we are going to add man months and learning hours to the country in a big way. This entire backlog which we have created due to COVID, 3-4 months, that can be totally catered to by using technology to crash the timeline for assessments. And this has been seen in practical in Macaut, where as Controller Sir and Honorable Vice Chancellor Sir was sharing, they were able to publish results in record time. And that's the key takeaway, and by which universities need to look at these solutions as what role they can play to provide more available learning hours to the university and its students.
Thanks, Manish. I mean, it's really great actually how exam time can further be shortened, and the approaches exist. I mean, you are providing the solutions there. It's great to see. I'll come to you, Dr. Maithai. Macaut has already implemented successfully this AI proctored examination, while there is resistance from students in other universities. There is resistance from students, teachers, at times the political resistance as well. And universities have chosen to go open book or the postal way. But still, Macaut went ahead and chose AI-based proctoring and successfully implemented it. So what are your experiences and the challenges that you solved there?
The experience is already this technology and process is available. So why not to use in our system? That was the primary consideration when we planned to introduce the systems in our evaluation assessment process. Now, from my side, what I can say that I'm looking forward, because this assessment and evaluation, it is also undergoing a transformation. And this is just an initiation, particularly this AI-based, proctor-based evaluation, all these things. This is not the end. The journey starts here. But our plan is to make the entire process more automated, adopting NLP-based technology in future. And we have started researching on this area particularly, where this after these subjective answers have been given by the students, the computer will be able to evaluate all these things. That is removing the personal bias or subjectivity in the assessment process. This is one of our this agenda further, and we are trying to, as I said earlier, we are trying to this improve and innovate continuously. And second point is, you see, we are migrating towards continuous assessment process. And for that purpose, assessment from a 360-degree perspective, that is one of our this future agenda. Right now, these methods of traditional methods or orthodox method of assessment for this from a singular perspective, like this in the form of these short questions, MCQs, or subjective questions. This is one aspect of assessment, but there will be other aspects as well. For example, this presentation skill, the analytical skill of the students in solving projects, in taking up these different challenging these problems. So for that purpose, it may be asynchronous mode also. That means it may not be real time. The students, they will be this engaged for solving some problems, and that will be uploaded, and at any point of time that can be this assessed and evaluated. If it can be automated, that computer itself can automate assess all these things. Otherwise, the teachers can do it. So there may be both synchronous and asynchronous mode of assessment. There will be assessment from different perspective, subject knowledge. That means what we are doing right now. This is recalling the memory basically. The students, they are answering these questions based on their this ability to memorize these facts and to recall this memory at the time of examination. These things, all these things is proctors and all, and AI has been applied in this examination process. This is one aspect, but this is not the philosophy. Philosophy is we need to explore further to identify the talents of which are hidden in the students in other domains as well. That means their presentation skills, their work in their approach towards a problem, how critically they are analyzing the solution, proposing the solutions, and all these things. That is our future agenda. You see, of the late, we have seen massive, this development in technological front. We captured this AI and ML applications and cloud technology in assessment systems. We are planning to introduce the blockchain also to make it more secure and transparent. This is our future agenda. And then the data science and data analytics to get a statistical outcome of all these events, to identify this the potential of the students, the weakness of the students, the strength of the students, where the further scope of improvement is existing, where the strength is existing. All these will be our assessment feature. I am very happy that we have started in the journey of embracing digital technology, cloud-based technology, AI/ML-based technology. But this is, as I am reiterating it, it is just an initiation. We have minds to go further, and there are lots of technologies available which we will be adopting. And right now, you see, there are two things. One is why we are doing all these things, because to make this process more accessible, assessment process more accessible. Even we never know that when these physical disruptions or some other, this because of natural calamity and because of this outset of these pandemics and all these things, it may happen in near future. So we have to make ourselves prepared for all eventuality, so that this exam process and teaching learning process should continue with irrespective of all these natural these obstacles and impediments. And then also another thing is how best we are using all these technologies to make this more cost effective, because our objective is, as we will be using more and more technology, the cost of education, that should be reduced. This is the major objective of this embracing technology, to make it effective and as well as economic, so that a larger section of students, they can be integrated, they can be this brought to our this academic loop, and their all potentials can be nurtured through assessment and evaluation with the use of technologies. And in that journey, in that exercise, we will be leaving no stone unturned, because we are exploring always what are the practices followed by the top universities, what are the offers by different IT organizations, IT be it in the form of cloud technology, be in the form of data science, be in the form of blockchain. So we are engaging our students also, proposing different projects. I'm happy to share that some of our students, they are offering blockchain-based, transparent, these connected systems for different organizations. Maybe in near future we can bring all these things in our entire evaluation process to make it very transparent and robust and all this. And then how to identify all this potential of a student using all this technology. This is our challenge. So there we need massive collaboration integrations with different these industry partners, different academic partners, and we need to use all our academic fraternity, including our teachers, our students, our researchers, to the best possible extent for serving these purpose.
Great. I mean, this is really a great journey that you have started, and a fantastic way to start on a successful note. Dr. Datta, Dr. Maitra just pointed out to one point of finding the good industry and academic partners. So when you thought of going to the digital transformation and the AI-based proctoring and the online examination, did you see some, I mean, what challenges did you see and what qualities you were looking out for a right vendor who can support you? Because this is a new area where you want to look for some good solutions, good qualities. So what challenges did you face, and what do you look into the vendors that support you?
Well, see, basically in this case, finding out the exact requirement at the point of starting is difficult. So therefore, fortunately, we didn't choose any vendor, rather vendor choose us to develop their product. So what I mean, the existing vendor, he was ready to deploy his entire team on us, and so that we can develop the product as per requirement. Otherwise, it is difficult to prepare the exact system requirement document when many uncertainties are on the way. It is better to respond to the changing requirements. So therefore, there was no ready product. The entire thing was developed together, and it is also based on the requirement. And not only based on the requirement, it's also based on the feedback of the stakeholders, and giving comfort to the stakeholders. Because ultimately the system would be used by 200 colleges, 10,000 teachers, and 1.5 lakhs of students. If they are not comfortable with the changes we are bringing, the system will not work at all. So therefore, continuously we are in different ways, either directly or indirectly, we are taking feedback. We are developing something, we are testing that, we are modifying that, and for that purpose, of course, we need a dedicated team, and the team is so much dedicated that there is no holiday, there is no day and night. So every time, at any point of time, we think something, some changes are required, some new developments are required, everybody jumps into it. So that is the key to success towards the up to the journey we have covered. So this is basically also incremental implementation. It is not that the entire thing was thought in a day and we planned and we did. It developed in a agile mode. So whatever we find, something we developed, we made some correction, then again we go forward. So this is basically dedication and integrity of the implementation team and the agency team, and of course our university team. And of course, the liberty given by the authorities, the Honorable Vice Chancellor, to test all these things and showing confidence on us. So that make these things happen. That's all.
Great, thanks. Manish, in the entire implementation of Macau, they talked about AI-based examination and evaluation. So do you think that, I mean, how much did AI help in the examination here? And what are the other areas where AI can be brought in to improve the process and get more value out of it?
Very much AI was not just useful, it was critical to the whole process. Because when you talk about any stage of the online exam at the scale at which it needs to be deployed, let me just share some numbers. A good university like Macau would have 1.5 lakh to 2 lakh students, and those students would need to be onboarded just within the 15 minutes of the exam, and the exams could be as many as 1 lakh exams per day. And so then suddenly the every process, the onboarding, which will require identification of the student, matching the photograph, face detection, face recognition with the registered photos of the students, all of these processes, the amount of data which needs to be processed, say these numbers instead translate into 10,000 images recognition per minute if you are looking at the latecomers suddenly coming in the last 5-10 minutes, 15 minutes to get into the online exam. And so every stage, the numbers are clear that you cannot do it with human intervention, and if you aim to do it with human intervention, then the number of humans which are going to be deployed for doing these things at scale become very significant numbers, and trying to get them and trying to deploy them becomes a challenge in itself. So it is very important that the AI was available to help us in this, and to process this data, to process these in an automated, reliable manner. The moment the test starts, then suddenly a large number of data points start coming in. You have the warnings which are going to the student, the number of times the student has moved away, the photographs which are getting collected, if videos are getting collected, the videos which are getting collected, and the data points could easily cross more than 1 billion just for one day's exam session. And that is just not possible unless you used AI, unless you use scalable AI implementation to detect anomalies, to detect and then to trigger alarms for humans to react on. So what the whole system has been designed, that the AI does the heavy lifting. They are able to detect these things, do the basic work, and then the fine tuning can be done with the humans in the loop. And as a result, you end up with a very balanced and rounded system, wherein both the AI is doing its role as well as the humans are playing the moderation role, so that you're not just driving a dumb robot or something. So the whole thing, the AI was critical to doing it at scale. Now coming back to the second part of your question, that is AI only about remote proctoring, or are there other aspects or use cases to the whole AI thing? So I think there are definitely a lot of other exciting use cases which AI other organizations as well as some of them ours are looking at very deeply. One is within the examination domain. I think a lot of basic questions are getting created using the content of the chapters themselves. So you just feed in the chapter content, and the questions which are basic questions related to the chapters, they get created by themselves. That's a big bonus for a lot of subjects and a lot of topics, wherein the questions need to be created again and again based on the content of chapters. Again, the grading is also gradually moving with inputs of AI. So subjective essay-based questions at various admission processes abroad, they have been subject to AI-based grading, and with reasonable success, at least for short essays. Also, in the whole admissions, the biggest challenge for students is to get answers to their queries, to be able to filter out that which courses, which colleges or which institutes are the right fit for their career aspirations. And again, that matching could very easily be done by AI algorithms, which could suggest and cut out through the clutter based on the interest areas of the student and the learning potential of the student. Useful suggestions can be provided to the students. And of course, in the whole learning game, we are already seeing that the assessments help in detecting the learning or the skill gaps. And once these learning and skill gaps are detected at minute level, more slice and dice you are able to do it, then at that minute level, AI algorithms can pick and choose which course and syllabus of the university, or wider spectrum out of the online realm, which of the courses can perhaps be useful for the student to bridge that learning gap, to bridge that skill gap. In fact, that's a big area of development on the learning front, which I think AI will play a big role.
great number of use cases actually. So two things will I see that the pressure from the educators actually will be reduced, and I also see that good ecosystem for the digitization is coming up. Great, Manish. So Dr. Maitra, just debating on from the online exam. So we saw some of the universities and even school boards have chosen the average marking system from the previous results because of the scenario that we had in the past. So what do you think it implies for the recruiters or maybe the universities who are taking admission from the school students, where when exams have not happened and the marks are awarded on the average basis of the historical exams?
Oh, it is exactly not the case of average. It is based on the past performance or previous this academic performance, and that is one of the component which is an indication of the quality of the student. You see, in this particular scenario, when the exam would not be conducted because considering the security and safety of the students, so the options left behind what was like this only. And even in this scenario, there are different sorts of tests, like admission test, like for medical entrance, for joint or engineering entrance. For our university, we have our own this test. So that test have their own weightages. So all this can be combined to because this is an entirely different scenario in the entire world. No one has seen this types of situations ever in their lifetime. So this is an abnormal case. So here, whatever best is possible, that needs to be taken into consideration. And all are working in that direction, particularly our central government, state government. They are trying to develop some sort of formula. We have our own admission test. Many organizations, many these testing agencies, they have the central joint medical council, the medical entrance. They have their own test. So all these things can bring the solution for admitting students to these undergraduate programs, particularly at this difficult time. As I'm repeating again, that there is no other this option available, because the safety and security of the students is the most important. All have they agreed upon on this particular aspect.
This is again, I'll say, another new footstep that Makaut has taken to solve the problem. Manish,
The
I'll come
point
to you.
I'd like to mention over here. You see, for this large number of students who are appearing at the 10+2 or 10th standard examinations, there is always a this challenge on availability of internet facility and digital devices because this country has lots of diversity that we have to take into consideration. And maybe in semi-urban rural areas, there is still a problem of internet this availability and digital these devices also. And there is this further problems like natural disasters that adds on to these particular problems of internet availability and all these things. So this as it was not planned earlier, so all on a sudden taking examinations of all students for 10+2 and 10 standards online mode, it is a really challenging scenario. Maybe in near future, this entire systems, ecosystems that can be developed for taking care of all these difficult situations in near future. But right now, these options available is only this based on past performance and based on the admission test conducted by different academic institutes. That is the only.
Thanks, Dr. Maitra. So, Manish, we were talking about the solutions earlier, but now Dr. Maitra has suggested a new solution actually to the challenge that we have. So, do you think the solutions are available to solve this kind of problem, like testing the students on a large scale that are coming out of the school for the admission purpose?
So, Sachin, as Honorable Vice Chancellor Sir was just mentioning, institutes of repute have been relying on admission exams to solve the two problems. They need a standardized score, and they need it standardized across the cohort which is applying to them. So now what is happening in this year is that and this was in the best of years, where the board exams were doing their jobs, they were conducting the exams and the scores were available. Now in this current year, wherein both the learning has suffered, so there will be learning gaps which the students would be having because curriculum has been curtailed, the syllabus has been curtailed, and then after that there has been no real assessment of what has been the learning during these 2 years periods. So you have taken the best solution which could have been possible, a statistical solution. But for the purpose of admissions, now you have two issues. One is the standardized scoring, and the two is about the learning gaps. So I think assessments will play a very big role over here in any admission cycle of any institute of repute. So if they need to take admissions now, they cannot rely just on the averaged out or the based on past performance board marks. They will need to perhaps go in for some form of assessments, and these assessments will form the basis of providing the standardized score for admission, and also will provide the basis for bridging the providing bridge courses to these students. Otherwise you are going to face a big trouble at these higher education institutes, because the students who would be coming in will require help to be able to meet the standards which the higher education institute wants to deliver upon. And so admission exams will definitely be required, and they could be attempted even now. If you look at the formula, they have given the option that if students are unsatisfied, you will be taking a physical exam. So you can very much adopt a hybrid approach today. Institutes can take in a proctored take from home exam, and these exams can form the basis for checking both the learning gaps as well as making sure that you have some sort of standardized score over and above what the board is providing to you in terms of their past academic record. And I think that solution and that infrastructure very much exists in our country. And in fact, we have been deploying our solutions to manage student life cycles from application, admission in all forms, with all kinds of weightages, with merit lists which have weightages of different subjects, past performances, the score of the test that they have given, all combined together to give some holistic color to what this applicant brings to the table.
Thanks, Manish. So before we move on to the questions from the participant, one last question to you, Dr. Datta. We saw some change in the pattern of the examination, particularly in the online case that you said. So how difficult was it to change the mindset of the people who were setting up the questions or the exams there? And what process did you follow so that the evaluation process goes right?
Yes, it was difficult, but it is not impossible. So therefore, we made it possible. As I already told you, the stakeholders are taken into confidence. We had made logical planning, which could be acceptable to all stakeholders. And whatever we have developed, we gave training to the faculties. We made demo video how to prepare a question paper online. Then we took feedback from the faculties, the challenges which are faced by the faculties, and they again incorporated in our development process. Then the key personnel also monitored everything in very micro level. So that is the way the things were possible. Regarding what Manish said regarding the skill gap and everything, what our Honorable Vice Chancellor is planning, see, the admission time has come, and many students would also take admission in our university. So we are always promoting the MOOCs platform and online mode of delivery of teaching learning process. So those that is one hint only, that those skill gaps can be taken care by the different courses on the MOOCs platform. We are allowing that, and we are also giving scope for credit transfer if some course is taken from the recognized MOOCs platform. But identifying the gap, skill gap of the students, knowledge gap of the students is also a very big factor. But Mr. Manish has said that he has developed something where different component could be seen and the gap could be identified. Otherwise, what could be done, that the faculties, they cannot be left alone. They are a major component of our academic system. So they can individually interact with the each of the students, and based on the courses chosen by them, and they can identify the skill gap because of this pandemic scenario or whatsoever reason, and can prescribe the specific course, maybe 1, 2, or 3 in the MOOCs platform before the actual teaching learning starts in the class. they can complete those things to reach the skill gap. Looking forward, few things we have our plan, as the Honorable Vice Chancellor already said, that development of one NLP based software for assessment of scripts in order to reduce the human intervention. Also, the entire thing which is on the portal, there could be one mobile app. We are planning for that. And also, if in near future the pen and paper examinations comes back, you know, after the examination, the answer scripts are packed, then stored at some point of time. From 200 colleges, they were taken to few central, few local hubs, then from the local hubs to central hub. So we are also planning to develop some apps so that the answer script directly could be scanned at the examination hall itself and could be uploaded in the examination portal. And the physical script can be stored in the local level itself. Those are planning forward. Please.
Excellent, Dr. Datta. So we have some questions from our attendees as well. So just asking, so question to you, Dr. Datta, again, or I mean, if anyone of you else wants to address it. So how to ensure that all are engaged, I mean, all participants are engaged and the learning takes place properly when we go online?
See, it is, you'll also have to, the primary basic thing is you'll have to motivate them and make them understand. Give solution which can be accessible and acceptable to all. Then the micro level monitoring. Once they are monitored in the micro level, you know, as I told you during the first pandemic in the March itself, our Honorable Vice Chancellor had session with the individual colleges, told them. Then what we did, we told the faculties, once you take the class, you upload the class details, the topic which is covered. Then also told the students whether have you attended the class, which topics are covered. So if you follow such process of recording data in the micro level, the response becomes very good, and the participations also becomes holistic. So in that way, probably we can get the success as we did earlier.
Dr. Maitra, one question to you. Are there any, I mean, when you were implementing, were there any regional divides like between rural and urban from the adaptation point of view? And if there were, so how did you address those?
No, I could not follow. You cannot repeat the question.
Yeah, so were there, I mean, when you were implementing the online transformation entire, so were there any regional divide, regional in the sense from the rural and the urban standpoint, because we know that urban infra is little better than the rural availabilities. So were there any divides, resistances on that side? And if there were, then how did you address those?
Actually, as we are you know, this dealing with technological and professional courses, and the students they are supposed to you know, this have their these connections and devices, because this technology is a part of their curriculum. Access to this internet, this is very much required, because our curriculum is such that there is such significant weightage on online courses. So that means this culture is already there. All the students who are getting enrolled to all these courses, they from the very beginning, they are exposed to the culture of accessing internet and you know, this engaging themselves in self-learning mode. I was just you know, this supplementing the answers given by my controller of examination, Dr. Datta. You see, this how we are checking the engagement of the students. This thing is this because you see, this is not the testing of the engagement level, whether the learning process is complete or not. And now today we are relying on flipped learning systems. We are, you know, the many course contents and many things are available at the nets and you know, the digital platforms. Responsibility to the students to get them self-learn, do all these things, and the doubts and you know, this confusion that can be cleared in consultation with the teachers. And how best they have understood the concepts on the, that can be validated by giving them assignments. So this is one of the way to test how whether they are engaged or not. That is not the questions. Whether they are learning or not, that is the questions. So now the model is like this: flipped learning, this differentiated learnings, you know, the self-learning. These are the concepts. And for professionals and engineering educations, from the very beginning, it is expected they should be familiar in using the technology. They should be habituated in using the technology, because until and unless they are not having all this access to internet at their own devices, they will not be able to upgrade themselves to self-learning mode from getting you know, this all this accessing this many online courses. So as this is a part of our systems, so the questions of divide is not that much prominent in our system because we have designed our curriculum in that way. Maybe in other cases it is a problem, but in our cases we did not see the problem in that significant extent. That is our experience.
Thanks, Dr. Maitra. Manish, I mean, there is similar question, Dr. Maitra, that answered from the learning standpoint. There is a question like there are areas in the country like Assam and Nagaland where, I mean, we know that connectivity is poor, but even taking the resources is little difficult as well at times. So what are the solutions available for conducting the online exams or online systems there? So any approaches, solutions there from the side?
So definitely for the Northeast and Jammu and Kashmir, where the internet connectivities are hampered or obstructed at various regions, a hybrid approach is the best. And so we have seen when we have conducted exams in the Northeast or for Jammu and Kashmir also, we have had to have, also a CBT or a physical center, wherein students who were totally perhaps inconvenienced could take the test from that place, and others could take it in the normal way using the internet resources. So some degree of hybrid approach would be required until all of these challenging areas come up to the level of basic requirement of connectivity and internet.
Thanks. Dr. Maitra, one more question to you. I mean, you moved ahead to a newer technology. Did it also help you reduce the cost as well of conducting the examinations?
Yeah, the ultimate objective, as I said earlier, to reduce the cost of education, and the benefit should be enjoyed by the learning community, the students. As we are adopting more of this technology to, and we are trying to leverage the full potential of the technology, our this expectation, and it is the basic features of all the technology applications. Is it reduces the cost of the system, and as there is a significant reduction in our examination process because we are giving significant emphasis on online courses and all these things, online education, all these things. So it will reduce the burden on as far as the cost is concerned on this learning community, and that will help the society further. This is our objective: the use of technology to improve the efficiency, number one, and number two, to improve the affordability, accessibility, and affordability to all the learning community. So keeping this in view, because as we are a public university, we have our own obligations for making this education affordable and accessible to a larger section of the society, and their technology can play a big role. This is our expectation, and we are observing that that thing is happening, and the benefit that will be enjoyed by the students. Already the students are enjoying the benefit because we are giving lots of this rebated discounts, all these things in our education systems, and that will help the society in a larger context.
Sure. This is truly a win-win situation. The last question from the attendees, Dr. Datta. We have a long list, but because of the time constraint, I think we should consider it as a last question. So, based on your experience, when you have already conducted the exam, what do you think should be the right pattern of questions or the suitable set of questions going further for the better evaluation of the students through online mechanism?
See, during setting up question papers, the specific rubrics and Bloom's level of taxonomy need to be followed. It's true that the lower level of Bloom's taxonomy could be taken care of by this MCQ type or physical examination. So level 1, level 2, and level 3. As Honorable Vice Chancellor also said that we are giving emphasis to the ability, creativity of the students, which are the higher level of Bloom's taxonomy. So it should be simultaneously some end semester examination, and equal weightage should also be given to the continuous assessment projects, capstone projects, etc. So in that way, we already have implemented the 3 different levels of questions in our MCQ pattern: easy, moderate, and hard. And question uniformly comes from each level. So in that way, we are maintaining that. Probably since it is a digital system, we can do that in a very scientific way, and we ensure that those things are happening. But probably earlier, when there was a theory questions, and probably most of the time we fail to relook whether those things have been maintained or not. But definitely for those purpose, there are so many regulations, guidelines are being issued by the appropriate authorities like UGC, AICT, and faculties are being trained continuously in order to maintain those things. So once the faculties understand those things, that the benefit would be finally give the benefit to the students, and the quality of the education will be maintained.
Sure. Thanks, Dr. Datta. So, I mean, we have a long list, but considering the time, we cannot go and address all the questions right now, but we will certainly. But thank you very much, Dr. Maitra, Dr. Datta, and Mr. Manish for your time in the reimagining education. And also really see that Makaut has gone way ahead in implementing the digital transformation. And Manish, really the solution do exist that you proposed to take this new ecosystem to the next level. Thank you. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Sachin.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I would request you to share your feedback with us, and through a survey, which will show up once you are leaving the session. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. We will be ending this webinar now. Thank you so much for joining us today.